Hi, welcome and good evening, everyone. My name is Lynn McCumber. I'm the Executive Director here at CHAPS. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for CHAPS Annual Candlelight Vigil. This is a very special evening for us where we come together to share, reflect, support, and celebrate. The theme of this year's vigil is making the difference. This could mean many things and likely will have its own meaning to each of you. At CHAPS, we work to make a difference through our services and our community of support. Just a few highlights over the past year of how CHAPS has made a difference include 1,432 individuals received support from CHAPS services. 232 persons and families experiencing homelessness were assisted with establishing permanent housing. 99 youth were supported with navigating and accessing safe and affordable housing. 50 youth worked on their wellness and recovery skills at our after-school Pathfinders program. And 52 members of the Journey Center accessed gainful employment at 34 local businesses. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. It's a group effort for sure. These are some examples of how services in partnership with determined participants can make the difference. But there's many more personal ways of making a difference that I believe are equally or more significant. We can make a huge difference in the lives of others when we write a kind note to a friend, when we listen without judgment or opinion, when we reach out to others who may be struggling, when we let someone know we care and we believe in them, when we ask how we can support someone, when we spend time with someone, when we share a smile, a story, or a laugh. These examples may seem simple and small, but they are actually powerful, and they can indeed make the difference. So, in closing, I encourage you to remember your power, your ability to be the one who makes the difference. It's now my honor to ask Eric Henry, our commissioner, to come up and present a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Week. And we really appreciate Eric in the years, his tenure as a commissioner. I don't know that we really knew him before that, but maybe we knew him a little bit from the ambulance service, but he has truly gotten to know us, and we so appreciate his support of what we do here and what our mission is. So Eric, I'll ask you to come up. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. This is my 4th year. Couple good things. I'm getting older, so they put the proclamation sideways. I think this year is for me, for myself. And Lynn said I could speak for an hour.
Yeah.
But I would like all of you to actually give a round of applause to all the employees of CHAPS, because that's impressive, isn't it not? So, yeah. Before I read the proclamation, I always tell Lynn this is my favorite thing to do as a commissioner. There's a lot of painful things I do, but there's a lot of good things I do too. I enjoy coming to CHAPS. I enjoy the Candlelight Vigil, and I love hearing the success stories. And then every year now, this is the 4th year, I've heard multiple success stories, and I'm sure we're going to hear more today. But I think that Crawford County has some of the best social services available, and that comes from human services, drug and alcohol. There's so many people that make this place work and function. And people always say, well, they come to Meadville because there's all this support services. I said, well, if that makes us a bad place, then it makes us a bad place, right? Because I'm okay with that. Because I know that I can call Lynn and say, hey, there's a guy who might need some help with housing, and you guys will take care of it somehow. And you work your magic and you figure it out. So I think you've noticed that that's been more of a challenge lately. Makes me a little bit more nervous that more of those issues are arising. So we need to keep working together to find those solutions. So I'll read the proclamation for Mental Health Week for this year. October 2023. Whereas mental health is crucial for our well-being and vitality, as well as that of our families, communities, and businesses. And whereas the President's New Freedom Commission declared that mental disorders and mental health problems affect people of all backgrounds and all stages of life, and no one is immune. And whereas the World Health Organization found that mental illness ranks first in terms of causing disability in the United States and collectively are the most prevalent health problems in America today, more common than cancer, lung, and heart disease combined. And whereas 1 in 10 children have a serious mental health disorder that, if untreated, can lead to school failure, physical illness, substance abuse, and even suicide. And whereas mental health disorders such as schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety disorders are real, common, and treatable illnesses. And whereas the U.S. Surgeon General has found that a range of mental health treatments of documented efficacy exists for most mental disorders. And whereas Crawford County has made a commitment to community-based systems of mental health care for all of our residents. And whereas the National Mental Health Association, the National Council for Community Behavioral Health Care, and their national partners observe Mental Health Awareness Week to raise awareness and understanding of mental health and illness. Therefore, the Crawford County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim October 19th through October 26th Mental Health Awareness Week. In Crawford County, as county commissioners, we also call upon all Crawford County citizens, government agencies, public and private, institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illness and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illness. And I will say that on behalf of Commissioner John Christopher Soff, Commissioner Francis Wiederspan, and myself, we certainly support all of you and appreciate the invite. Thank you. I'll do a picture later.
All right. Thank you very much, Eric. We really appreciate that. It's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, and that's Monique Stallings from Crawford County Human Services. This is her first time here, I believe.
Cool. Thank you for having me. So I took some time and I had to think of what I wanted to talk about because we can make differences in all different aspects. So we're going to focus on this. Tonight's phrase is making a difference. This can take on many meanings. However, you can make a difference where you are planted. You do not necessarily need to work in human services or in CHAPS or any of the community services that we have in our community. You can make a difference where you're at. This can be done by giving an encouraging word to someone, being present during a crisis, or just being there for someone. Many times we think we need to make huge impacts. However, oftentimes it's the still small contributions that we make that have the most impactful effect on people. I can look on my own life and see how many people came through my life and helped make a difference. The one that stands out is my math teacher. He saw something in me and always told me, hey, there's a kid that's struggling. Can you take a moment and just befriend them? He doesn't realize that moment got me to the part where I'm now a mental health provider, helping people listen and find help in their own life. As I got older, I continued to see the needs of my community, whether it was participating in a community event where children got the ability to experience fun activities and seeing the joy in their faces. This may not seem like a huge deal, but if you take a step back and look, you will see that a difference was made in their life. So I encourage you to take a moment and think of a way you can make a difference where you are planted. And I'll leave you with this quote: one person can make a difference. You don't have to be a big shot. You don't have to have a lot of influence. You just have to have faith in your power to change. Norman Vince Peale.
Thank you, Monique. It's now my honor to introduce our neighbor. You know, when you get a new neighbor, you're kind of nervous sometimes. And we got this new neighbor. I think he was around for a little while before I met him, but we have a fabulous neighbor at FCCA. The whole organization and its leader, Jackie Robertson. We talk so much here at CHAPS about catching them upstream and prevention. Like, why are we waiting? Why not support people when they're young and in their developmental phases? And I feel like it's an amazing complementary partnership we have going here now with FCCA, because that's very much, I believe, what Jackie is focusing on. So I'm going to let him come up and share some thoughts. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I can't hear you. Good evening, everyone. There we go. There we go. I want to really thank Lynn Encumber for her leadership, her vision, how she executes the mission here. Let's give her a hand. She's a phenomenal lady. Really. So, I am actually a minister, so it's bad when they give a minister a mic, they tell me. So I'm going to try to make this real short and sweet, but I could really talk for a long time. But I want to say that making a difference. The fact of the matter is that life is very difficult. It can be very difficult. But I will say this, life is really what you make it. And it's all based upon attitude. If you have a wonderful attitude, wow, your life can go really nice. But if you really have a very, and this is maybe not the proper etiquette, but some would say stank attitude, your attitude may project or give you more different vibes that you might not want. So it really is all about perspective. It's how you see things. It's how your persona. Whatever you give out is the energy that comes back to you most times. So as far as making a difference, I want to tell you what making a difference means to me. And really, I have to look at the person who was the most impactful on my life, and that was my mom. My mom was a single mother. She was a daughter of a heroin addict. And she promised herself, actually, my grandfather was a heroin addict, and as well as my grandmother. And so she promised herself that she would not put her children through what she went through. And I'm so proud of my mother because my mother literally came from nothing. And she worked hard. She worked 2 and 3 jobs. We lived on the east side of Buffalo. We lived not too far from where the shootings, you guys remember where the top shootings were? We lived not too far from that area. And my mom, she focused on making our lives better and making a difference in our life. And so, you know what my mom did? She saved her money, she worked hard, and she got a house. She purchased a brand new house, and she built it from the ground up. And that is, it was unheard of. And so what gives me my drive, what gives me my work ethic is my mom. Seeing how strong, seeing how she got up at 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, making us meals, making sure that we had what we need, making sure that our clothes was clean. Okay, so these are all of the things that really have made an impact on my life. So again, I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but what does making a difference mean to me personally? Making a difference means to me is what making a difference means to me is that we show sacrifice. You know, we live in a world that it's all about me. You know, it's all about my situation. You know, let me get my selfie on. You know, all of those different things, right? And if we learn how to really make a difference, we put the needs of others before we put ourselves in perspective. Does that make sense? So really we focus on how we can make an impact on others. Showing love to the unlovable. Have you ever had a difficult person that you had to deal with and you had to show love to them? that person that you didn't agree with. You may not agree with their political stance. You may not agree with what they had on. You may not agree with how they smelled. But you know what? You show love to that person. Does anybody have that situation happen to them where they really had to show love to somebody that they did not want to show love to? I had to deal with it today, actually. That I had to show love to someone, and it cost me just to say, you know what? It's not about you right now. Make it about this other person. Let's see. It means putting a smile on someone's face. We live in an era of depression. We live in an era of just doom and gloom. You know, politically, it can get real crazy. I mean, we look at what's happening over in Israel. You know, all of these things can really make you feel depressed. But again, you got to focus in on positivity. You know, so many times we focus in on negative stuff and, you know, oh man, you know, this is not working out for me. That's not working. But what's working out for you? Are you still breathing? Everybody do that. You still breathing, right? So that's working for you. You have health. You have strength. You can smell. You can eat. I like to eat. I don't know about you, but I enjoy eating. You know, there's all of these things. We need to understand that there are other people that don't have the amenities that we have. There are other people that can't walk, that may not be able to talk, that may not be able to hear. Be thankful for what you have. I can continue on, but let me close out by saying this. Mahatma Gandhi said, and I quote, "In a gentle way, you can shake the world." I want you to know tonight that you have the ability to make an impact on someone's life. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and give someone $1 million. It may be simply by saying, "Hello, how are you today?" You don't know how far that makes a difference. Robert F. Kennedy stated this. He said, "The purpose of life is to contribute in making things better." We got to make things better. And how do we do that? We do it by making a difference. Lastly, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Dr. Martin Luther King, stated this. He said, "No work is insignificant. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity, importance, and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence." You know, sometimes we get in a monotony of work and we just, you know, it's just like a routine that we have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. For me, sometimes it's 5, but we get up and we have to answer emails. We have to go in and do this. We have all of these different duties. But I want you to understand that your work is significant. What you do here at CHAPS, what we're doing in Crawford County, what we're doing in Meadville is so significant to the lives of our citizens. So I want to encourage everyone in this room, keep doing what you're doing. Keep making an impact. Keep striving for excellence. Keep working towards greater things. Lastly, as I conclude, I want to echo with what Lynn said, and she kind of wrote my notes, I guess. But she said, be kind. Be willing to listen. Be willing to show love. Speak up when you see something wrong. Show grace. And most importantly, every day, do something that makes the day for someone else. Continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It's now my honor to introduce Amanda Markham, who's going to run the rest of the show. Amanda is our Community Education and Outreach Coordinator. She facilitates a number of our support groups we have here, lots of other things. A lot of work with families over the last couple of years she has done. She's done some amazing work, and I think you'll hear about that. And she also made this night happen. All of this organization, we want to thank Amanda for that.
Thank you, Lynn. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight, and yes, thanks for making a difference every day, every moment. I mean, the little things do have a big impact, and that's really important in a lot of people's lives right now. So I feel like we have more speakers this year than we have before, so that was exciting for me. Our next group of speakers are going to be pretty special. They each have something that they've gone through that has been more than most people could probably handle, and we just need to give them lots of encouragement and love, because coming up here and speaking is not easy, and I hope that they have a voice, because our first speaker, Elizabeth, she is gaining her voice back. She's not losing it, but hopefully she can scream into the microphone. But Elizabeth Mahon, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to tell, you guys can hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm here to tell my story about how the different programs and the people that run them have made a huge difference in my life and with my family. I'm 31 and I'm a mom of 4 boys, 12, 9, 7, and 4. And they're little Tasmanian devils, and I say that because they're full of life and energy, no matter what's going on, and they're full of surprises, both good and bad. And when I say bad, I don't mean that they're horrible kids or anything. They just had to overcome obstacles that you'd never expect you'd have to see your child go through. And that makes things even scarier in those types of moments in life. My third son, my baby Kane, as he'll always be named to me and everybody else, started having seizures in September of 2021. He had just had his 5th birthday, August 19th at August. The seizures happened anytime during the day and during the night, multiple times with nothing triggering them on purpose, or even that would even give the cause, lead the way to why he would have a seizure. And that's not what only made things hard for him, but all of us as his parents, because instead of being able to celebrate him going to kindergarten and making friends and just getting to enjoy what kids get to at that age, we were on constant call with the school, because at first the seizures were small ones when he'd have them at home and school, but they would range from 1 minute to 3 minutes each seizure, almost every hour, if that. And we saw that it not only started to take physically wise, but mental health wise on him. And that's when his behavior started to really decline. Before the seizures, he was an absolute angel, never gave us an issue. He ate all his vegetables, he listened to you, he didn't do anything wrong, he was quiet. But after the seizures, you could see that it really started to change. He couldn't even be in a classroom with the other kids. His behavior had downgraded so quick and so fast that he would have to stay with the principal. And it had reached the point where I was getting the calls, you have to come get him. We tried half days, full days, nothing seemed to work. So then eventually he came to Florida work. And, sorry, I lost my place. They had done everything they could help us, but we were recommended to Bethesda Lutheran Services. They could have a better program. He was diagnosed with psychological neural development disorder. Basically, they were linking everything behavior-wise to his seizures. But ultimately, they still weren't and still haven't been able to find the cause of the seizures or anything. So behavior-wise, we're going based off of what we've learned and learning as we go. I mean, his father never expected to have to deal with anything like this, so it was new to all of us. And they wanted to make sure that he would get the resources he needed. He left Cambridge before December, was diagnosed with epilepsy that February with a 3-night stay at Children's Hospital. He continued to stay on folder work for the rest of the year. His behavior, again, came out of nowhere, as did the seizures. But by February of that year, the seizures were happening only at night, every hour, getting longer, didn't stop. So again, behaviors probably linked with no sleep, things like that. Well, but he was part of it all was that they could not and still couldn't find what was causing it. They started him on 6 milliliters of Zomicide in February, twice a day. He still had seizures with the medicine. The only way in the hospital he didn't have a seizure was they had to sedate him so heavily to where he would sleep nonstop just to get the brain waves. So, you know, his physical and his mental health is really starting to decline. And we were not sure what to do. You know, my oldest son has autism, my 9-year-old has ODD with ADHD, and my youngest son was just diagnosed with autism as well. So working with those and then having to work with him, it was all new and it was taking a drain on everybody. Not that it was anybody's fault or anything, but as parents and with kids, that summer we started the process, going to counseling, getting evaluations done, trying to find someone that could give us the diagnosis for the mental health, because the physical part was starting to take better. We knew he was having seizures. They ended up putting him on 6 milliliters of Zomicide twice a day, 6 milliliters of Depakote twice a day, and 3 milliliters of levocartine twice a day. But they still knew that there was more to his mental health. And at the moment when he was diagnosed with the disorder and we were still trying to figure it out over the summer, we knew that it was going to be another battle that we would have to help him through. That summer, we had meetings with the schools, the teachers, and everything to ready to transition him into first grade at Bethesda. He was going to be transferred to a full day of schooling and IEP. He couldn't make it. He had to finish out in folder work. At that point, we were recommended to the Better Case Management Program. Laura Singo, amazing and awesome, came in, helped us get the needs, get where we're going. She was part of Amanda Markham with CHAPS, the peer-to-peer. Without Amanda, I don't know what I would have done half the time. But after this, we were finally able to start getting the resources, started able to get more of the answers too. They made sure that we had whatever we needed at any time. Whether it was her coming with me to a doctor's appointment or helping me find a psychologist that would diagnose him at such a young age. And it was tough because we were all going through this as a family, which is where we were introduced in the peer-to-peer program and where I met one of the most supportive, amazing people that would have not only helped us all through everything, but was able to get us everything we needed to with everyone. And without her help everyone that was part of our team in all aspects of this was how we as a family became stronger, united, and able to help each of us with our own mental health issues. Because not only was Kane diagnosed with a disability, but all 4 boys were diagnosed with their different mental healths. I myself, at the age of 16, was diagnosed with bipolar type 1, PTSD, ADHD. and depression. I had suffered a car accident, total collision. The other car, the people died, and that's where mine stemmed from. They said it was unlocked like a box, which is what we started to believe when it came to Kane. It was let out of a box. But they helped everybody in our family, and they were able to get us to where we are now. From just working on my mental health, working with them, doing everything we needed to, it was finally starting to work and come together. All these different programs, Amanda, Laura, Caitlin, Bartik, from parenting, IU5, the speech, the different programs here in Crawford County, but especially with CHAPS, is what made us to where the boys could cross their biggest obstacles, but we could be with it and be prepared and learn what to do in the future and help other kids that might be going through this. Even parents, you're not sure what's going on, but if you know someone that is also in that area when it comes to certain things, it's easier too. And they've helped so much that 2 years later, all 4 boys have excelled in the areas that they thought they wouldn't, especially with mental health. My oldest graduated from the SOAR program, and he was interviewed to be the SOAR Graduate of the Year. They had a banquet. We went to it. He did amazing. He still has. He's in 7th grade, dealing with autism, no medicine, nothing, but he knows how to process. My 9-year-old, who we were told in kindergarten, if we did not have him medicated by 1st grade, we would have our hands full. He's now in 4th grade. He's a leader in the SOAR group, and he does not have to be medicated. We have worked through. And different things work for different kids. Kane has been seizure-free for about 1.5 years now. He's actually enjoying school. He can be in class. He has his wraparound. Like, he loves it. He's actually started to be able to enjoy life. And with their help, it made to where my kids can enjoy the life too, and also respecting what's going on and learning about each of us. I've talked to my boys. I was like, we'll learn about this together. So without your guys' help, I don't know where we would have been, because you guys have made the biggest difference in our life. So, thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, so our next speaker is someone who has traveled her own journey, and we'll call her a warrior at this point, and she is now out in the community working for CHAPS, helping and making the difference in other people's lives right now. So Jovan Weber, come on up.
Oh boy, there's more people than I was expecting. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jovan, and I am in recovery. I want to start off with a definition of resilience. I know it feels kind of cliche, but that's a definition that means a lot to me. The capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. I have experienced physical, mental, and emotional abuse. I also experienced 18 years of substance abuse. I struggle with borderline personality disorder, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and most recently, I have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. As a child, I spent most of my time home alone, my mom working at a bar, which most of her personal time was spent there as well. My father being in and out of my childhood. I had things happen around me as a childhood that would directly end up affecting my entire life. I just didn't know exactly how much. At the age of 15, I was introduced to Vicodin. I was struggling with my anxiety and my depression very badly. I did whatever I could to be out of the house just to be away from the animosity. I started working at a restaurant in my hometown in Lionsville called Rosemarie's. Rose Hilliard was the owner, and had I not met her, I don't think I could be part of the woman that I am today. In the beginning, I was taking the Vicodin due to a neck injury. I noticed very early on how nice it made me feel. those little white pills. I was happier. I didn't feel any pain. I didn't feel anything. It was the first time in my life that everything that was bothering me had finally disappeared. After feeling so much for so long, it felt amazing to finally not feel. By the age of 18, I had met the love of my life and ended up getting married. I had tried crack, methamphetamine, most opiate pills, and Adderall by this time. I quickly realized I was not happy in my marriage and I wanted out. My husband had Crohn's disease, and I was too young for that responsibility as a wife, nor did I want that responsibility. So let's fast forward a few years to August of 2011 when I was blessed to have my daughter. I ended up having to have a C-section, and if you've had one of those, you know the pain. I was given opiates to control the pain while in the hospital, and I was also sent home with an entire prescription, which led me right back to active addiction. Things were getting really bad between her father and myself. I had found out that he was using heroin, so I made him leave. How dare he, right? Let's fast forward again to 2017. I met a guy who would ultimately end up stepping up to be the father figure that my daughter needed, as her biological father was struggling with drug addiction as well. I had been to rehab twice by this point, and it didn't work for me. And some of you may ask why. It didn't work for me because I was being given an ultimatum: either go to rehab and get better, or I would lose my family. So I went. I was present, but I had no intention of ever getting clean. That year, I had hit my first rock bottom. My daughter's father found a needle in a pair of my pants, and that was the last straw. I had made the call that I hated to make: drug and alcohol. This time, I was getting sent away farther from home so that I could also focus on my mental health. In 2017, I went to White Deer Run in Allenwood, and I was scared, leaving everything and everyone I knew to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I started with detox, which was just lovely, went into inpatient for 30 days, went into a partial program, which was actually a lot of fun, and then went into a halfway house located in Johnstown, Pennsylvania in Cambria County, which is quite frankly one of the worst towns I've ever been in. After being there a little bit, my daughter's father and I had called it quits, and that would end up changing everything again. I met a guy named Josh at an NA and an AA meeting that we went to weekly, and I fell in love. On one of my 4-hour passes from the halfway house, Josh convinced me not to go back to the halfway house. Within 2 weeks, I was introduced to heroin. Josh would start to abuse me mentally and physically at the same time. I ended up in the hospital for the first time due to him choking me so badly that my throat was actually closing off. I spent 4 different times at the women's shelter in Johnstown. It would become my second home. But I always went back. I would walk around several times with bruises all over my body. I would end up eventually signing rights off to my daughter because I could not be the mother that I needed to be. I would end up overdosing 9 times in 1 year. Thank God for Narcan. On my birthday in 2019, my boyfriend Josh gave me to a dealer of ours for some crack. I would ultimately end up getting raped later that night, forced to shower after each incident, and held for 2 days. I was finally given a chance to run when I was asked to go get more drugs. When I left, I ran and I ran and I ran, and I ran into a car, and it just happened to be Josh. I went to the hospital, rape kit, etc. My case was ignored. I would call to talk to detectives multiple times. Josh would ask me things like, "Are you sure you just didn't give him the wrong idea? You better have your story straight or they're going to make you look like an idiot." I didn't want to feel unheard, so I left it alone. Fast forward to the fall of 2019. I was strung out, lonely, depressed, anxious, and I had hit my rock bottom. I had the clothes on my body plus a few items in my bag, a winter coat, thank God for the churches in that town, a pair of shoes, and that was it. I was sleeping in an abandoned apartment building that had no running heat, no water, and winter was coming fast. I was stealing from every store in town I could just to feed myself. I was doing everything I said I would never do, and I became the person I said I would never be, my mother. The holidays came, and all I did was want to go home to my daughter and see my family. On January 10th of 2020, I made the decision to leave Josh behind and come home. I wanted to get my life together and to break that vicious cycle. I posted on Facebook that I wanted to come home, and a friend reached out that she could come and get me, but it would have to be until the next morning. I spoke with the shift supervisor at Sheetz, who knew me very well, explaining my situation and that I needed somewhere to stay safe, away from Josh, and in public to sit until my ride came in the morning. Sitting with fear and anxiety, the supervisor fed me, bought me a drink, and kept an eye on me until I left. My ride called, and that was it. It was time to go. I went into the bathroom and I got high one more time. I threw away my bag, the bag that carried the only thing I ever cared about for the last 2 years, and I walked away and I never looked back. Josh would end up passing away from an overdose the summer of 2021. I would end up at the women's shelter here in Meadville. Rose again came to my rescue with a bed. I ended up meeting one of the most important people in my life now, Jill Chapin. Jill found me an apartment and helped me with the funding that I needed to start my life over, furniture, etc. The women's shelter helped fill in the rest. I did everything I needed to start a whole new life for me and my daughter. I would end up filing to get my rights back, and after finally 3 canceled mediations, I got them back. Holidays, the entire summer, every weekend. I worked with Jill and CHAPS up until October of last year. In February, I decided to go back to work again. I worked in home health care for a few months, worked for a cleaning company for a month, until one day I seen CHAPS was hiring on Indeed. And I thought to myself, worst case scenario, they just don't call. I got a message the next day for an interview. I came in that Friday and started the following Monday. I now have a job working at CHAPS, and I've been here for 3 months, and I absolutely love my job and everybody that I work with. January 11th of 2024, I will celebrate 4 years clean. I love the person that I am today. Life isn't perfect, and I struggle with my anxiety and my borderline personality disorder daily, but I have an amazing support system. My doctor has me on meds that are actually working. I talk to my daughter daily as well as visitation regularly. I practice self-care. I look forward to coming to work. I work with youth. I help with the CHIP program, and I also help with waiver from time to time. I set my boundaries with those around me, and I keep them. I try not to bottle stuff up, but we are all guilty of that. What I don't do is let my past define me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Am I still on? No. It's on now. I just clicked it up. Sorry. So, Jovan, that was very brave. Thank you for sharing that with us. Our next speaker has been joining us almost on a weekly basis, but I asked him probably back in August if he would be interested in sharing his story for the Candlelight Vigil. I kind of told him what it was. I wasn't so sure if he would accept, and thankfully he did. So I introduce you to Mr. Todd Canfield. It's a long walk.
You need to learn to love yourself first, because you are the only one you have to spend the rest of your life with. My name is Todd Canfield. I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder 17 years ago at the age of 35. After my meds got regulated the first time, I went for 15 years, basically, completely symptom-free. I'm going to tell you the story of things that I've gone through in the last year. Originally, I had planned on taking a different approach to this because I found out that I had quite a bit of bitterness toward the local healthcare system and the local law enforcement agencies for things that happened to me when I had my psychotic break. But I realized that that isn't going to help anybody just to be hung up on things like that. So I'm just going to move on. And my psychotic break started on August 26th of 2022, and it lasted until close to the end of October. And I have very, very, very few, very scattered memories of anything that happened during those 2 months. As a matter of fact, at one point in time, I woke up, well, basically snapped into it for a short amount of time and had no idea where I was, and come to find out I was in the COVID ward of the jail in Sagertown. And I'd never had any type of legal issues whatsoever at all until then. And like I said, until somebody told me where I was, I didn't even know where I was. But through the psychotic break that I had, I lost relationships. I lost relationships with my children. They both basically disowned me, and they haven't spoken to me since then. And I don't know if they ever will. You know, I don't know. But because of all this, you know, like I said, ending up in jail and losing losing my kids and my grandkids, I found myself at the lowest point that I've ever been in my life, and I had a choice to either stay that way and wallow in my problems, or to try and take back control of my life. And so at that time, I decided to be well. So I set some boundaries for myself that resulted in ending some relationships with some toxic people, and I learned to respect myself and who I am, instead of spending so much time trying to be who everyone else wants me to be. And if you want to put a lot of stress on yourself, spend a lot of time trying to be somebody that you're not. I'm sorry, I'm getting lost here. By being true to myself, the people who wanted to change me weeded themselves out, and those who respect my individuality gravitated towards me. And anyone who knows me well knows I'm a rather unique individual who doesn't fit into many of society's stereotypes. So I consider it important to surround yourself with the right kind of people, not ones who will turn their backs on you at the first sign of trouble. I'd like to thank my BCM, Ashley, from the Department of Human Services, because she got me through so much. I can't even begin to explain the things that she got me through, both with my mental health care and with the legal issues that I had also. And then I want to thank Wendy from here at CHAPS because, you know, she came to my house and had appointments at my house for quite a while, and then she arranged for me to get transportation to be able to come to the Journey Center because through everything that happened, I also lost my vehicle and I didn't have any way to get anywhere. And but once I got here and I got introduced to the Journey Center, I think that everyone that I've encountered through CHAPS they're just wonderful people, and they got me into the schizophrenic support group, and Amanda does an amazing job running that group, and I've gotten a few pretty close friends through going to that group. And there's one more person that I really want to thank, and she's a young woman by the name of Tina. She basically came out of nowhere, and she encouraged me to be myself, and no matter what that meant, and I never expected to have any type of a relationship ever again in my life, but I fell in love with her very quickly, and she's, like I said, she's helped me and supported me in being myself and to not try and change me into somebody that I'm not. And I just want to say that I have a completely new outlook on life, and I have faith in my newfound support system, and because of all this, my future is the brightest that it's ever been. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. It's hard standing up here. Does anybody else want to give it a try before we shut this down? So, making the difference is to have an important effect or influence on something or someone. We have support workers and agencies that make a difference every day. Our community, all of you, make a difference with other community members, family, friends. What we do every day has an effect on someone. By showing kindness and lending a hand, you are making a difference. Sometimes the generosity and support have a greater impact than you realize. Possibly saving someone's life. So we are here today with the hope that our words will be making the difference for many people that are struggling and don't know where to turn. We hope that our words will encourage and inspire you to make the difference. Often the best place to start making the difference is with yourself. And that's the hardest part, taking those steps. We've got everybody around us. We're surrounded by people that are willing to lend a hand and help. But it's making the difference inside of us that's the biggest challenge of all. So I'm hoping that someone today that hears these words of all of these courageous people that stood up here, I hope that they start making the difference, not just a difference, but making the difference in themselves, and have faith in yourself. A lot of people, focus on the negatives and don't think about the good things that they do for others, because sometimes it's just, it's what you're supposed to do. But those little things make a big difference also. So treat yourself with kindness and grace. And thank you, Jackie, for your great speech, because, I was moved by that one tremendously. And I want to thank you all for coming tonight and to recognize our warriors that stood up here. So now our volunteers are going to be passing around a basket Actually, if you could just grab the basket, pass it around, grab a candle, and they will begin lighting. And we also have a wonderful slideshow of all of the great works that CHAPS and all the volunteers in our community have done. So, Kelsey, can you get started and we'll get this vigil going? Thanks everyone for coming. And here shortly, we will also have cookies. So hang around for that. Thank you.
Close my eyes and I can see the world that's waiting up for me. That I call my home. Through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy.
you all are amazing and brave, and just thank our community. It takes everybody. So have a great night, and have some cookies and some water. Thank you all. We'll get a basket.